Hi everyone, and welcome to Jane Talks Trek, where I'll be talking about and reviewing an episode of the original series, The Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, or Enterprise. Today I'm looking at North Star from Enterprise's third season, or as I like to call it, that time Archer had to see a lady about a Skagaran. This episode was requested by Donald Camp, whose birthday it is today. Happy birthday, buddy, and I hope you enjoy the video. We begin the episode with some angry cowboys riding horses who promptly hang a dude. What the fuck? And into the credits we go. Well, that guy is full on dead, and this lady Bethany is very cross about it, so she complains to this guy McCready, played by Glenn Morshower, who, no joke, has been in everything, including an episode of Buffy and 2 episodes of Next Generation, as well as having a small recurring role in CSI. Apparently the dead dude killed someone and is labelled a skag, and Archer, T'Pol and Trip hang around talking about how these people seem to be human, which Malcolm confirms, but there are some aliens sprinkled in too. Trip and T'Pol go to see a man about a horse and trade a harmonica and a gun for it. That doesn't seem safe. While Archer heads into a bar where the bartender chats a bit, mentioning skags before the Dickface posse rocks up. Head Dickface is Deputy Bennings, played by James Parks, who played Tector Gorch in Buffy and also appeared in the Voyager episode The Shoot. He makes this kid sit down and drink and harasses him, so Archer gets involved, and then McCready shows up, so he leaves. And that night, Trip and T'Pol poke around a crash site before Archer goes to visit Bethany. He asks about the Skagarans.
The first Skagaran I ever saw was today, lying in that coffin. Seems I'd be more likely to get the truth from you than from the men who put him there.
So Bethany takes him on a magic cart ride to a camp full of them, where Trip and T'Pol meet up with them. T'Pol flashes a handful of condoms, so she and Trip head back to Enterprise to use them or whatever, while Archer sits in on class, where Bethany is illegally teaching Skagarans. This little girl exposits that the Skagarans abducted humans to use as slaves, but it backfired, and here comes Deputy Douche Nozzle, so Bethany tells the kids to cheese it. Archer tries to protect Bethany, but it doesn't go well, and they're both tossed in jail, so she becomes an exposition fairy, telling how the Skagarans were slaughtered and the survivors treated like shit 200 years ago, and history has been repeating ever since. Archer is sent to see McCready for shots, and he gets yelled at for sticking his nose in, and McCready tells him to leave town, but with Bethany in prison, looks like he's not going anywhere.
I was on my way out of town and realized I forgot something.
Archer busts Bethany out of jail, locking Bennings in the cell, which is where McCready finds him. And seriously, there's something about the names Benning and McCready that sound familiar. Archer and Bethany make a break for it, but Assface shoots Bethany, so Archer orders a beam up, which leaves the Dick posse reeling. T'Pol tells Archer off for beaming up in front of everyone, and Phlox reveals Bethany is part Skagaran, while Bennings and McCready argue over who Archer is, before Bennings decides he wants to retaliate against the Skagarans and quits so he can go rogue. Archer decides the best course of action is to land a shuttle pod in the middle of town and bring armed Mako with them before he and McCready have a little chat while everyone else stands out in the open when they know Bennings is pissed off. Told ya! Archer tries to defuse the situation, but Malcolm shoots someone, so an almighty firefight breaks out with some pretty cool stunts. But then Archer is shot, so he flees into the stable where he and Bennings wrestle around. T'Pol gets taken hostage, so Malcolm shoots her. This face! And with the area secure, everyone scrambles to find Archer, who gets the upper hand on Bennings. Up on Enterprise, Archer shows Bethany her planet, just like Picard did for Nuria in Who Watches the Watchers. And she doubts they could fit back in on Earth, but Archer reassures her that McCready is already making changes. And while Enterprise goes to deal with the Xindi, Bethany teaches the Skagarans about Earth's history. Okay, so this is a nice little self-contained episode, and it's easy to forget that it's from Season 3, because the Xindi are only mentioned ever so briefly. I know Star Trek has done Western-themed episodes before, but I quite like this one because of just how good it looks. I know the town of North Star is a studio lot, but it looks just like the kinds of Western towns I'd visited when I traveled to America, and the details with the costuming and music really added to it. The plot is obviously what carried this episode because the themes of prejudice, hate crimes, and segregation are still relevant today. It's a very balanced story. On one hand, you have the hate perpetuating hate against the Skagarans, and on the other, you have a race who abducted another to use them as slave labor. And seeing as the Prime Directive hadn't come into play yet, it's little wonder Archer got involved, because that's the kind of person he is. He tells Bethany that humans have moved beyond hate and prejudice, but that will be tested throughout all of Season 3, and we will see it come unraveled in Season 4, especially in the show's true finale, Terror Prime. The theme's message and how it was handled worked really well in this one, but did Trip and Paul really need to be on the planet? No, not really, but I liked the stark contrast of the crew at the end versus the muted tones of North Star and its people. So there you have it. That was North Star. If there's an episode of Star Trek you'd like me to cover, pop it down in the comments below or come say hi on social media. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit that like button, it really does mean a lot, or consider subscribing if you want to be assimilated into my channel. Alternatively, feel free to check out my other YouTube channels. Thank you so much for watching, I'll speak to you soon, and live long and prosper.